Hey you, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna try something that's a little different with you guys, and that is I'm gonna try and just like live record without any script and any like pre-recordings. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to like cut a bunch of parts out because I'll be like stuttering or like, but yeah, just like bear with me. So like in case you guys have noticed, I really haven't recorded like a voiceover tutorial in a while, and that's because I wrote up like the last part of my how to draw a manga tutorial and it took me like 3 hours to write the script. So I like have been putting it off and like procrastinating like crazy because I really do not want to go over that. But I mean, yeah, so anyways, today's topic is how in the world do you do lineless art? Because for the longest time, I've seen like a ton of crazy good artists, and I look at their process and like they don't do line art, and I'm like, how the heck do you do that? Because personally, I've always really hated line art. I like how it makes your piece look in terms of how clean it looks and everything, but honestly, like line arting is my least favorite part of like drawing. But recently I've decided to try it out. Like I really like put my foot down, and after like a couple years of kind of like half-heartedly like trying it, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna like learn how to do lineless art, and I think it's working out pretty well right now. If you have been following me on Twitter, you'll notice that I've been really obsessed with Final Fantasy lately. Like you may like, I know a lot of people don't like the game, but whatever, it's my own opinion. I love my chocobros, so of course I am doing fan art of them. And let's open it up. There's Ignis, and there's Gladiolus right here. So as you can see, both of these are lineless, and this is after doing both of these, I was like, you know what, I think I kind of got a hang of it. And my goal for myself was to do all 4 like of the Final Fantasy guys without doing any lines. I thought I'd share with you guys what I've learned from doing these pieces, and give you some tips for like how to do lineless art. So one of the first things that I want to say is I think lineless art, from my experience, lineless art is easier to do if you do a grayscale. And I think like the reason for that is because before I have tried doing lineless art with colors, but then you focus so much on like the shading and like trying to make sure the colors don't like blend over each other, and like it just gets like, it's a little too much. And for someone like me who's like really used to doing lines, not having like a single layer for everything is like an absolute nightmare to me. So for me, I went from having to have like a single layer for everything to doing these lineless arts with like 2 layers max, and I'll be teaching you guys how to do that. So to show you guys some examples, I saved the process of how I did these, and I will go over them. If I can just open it. Okay, so let's start with Ignis. So for this and this is what Ignis and Gladiolus started off with. Like if I scroll to the top of my history here, this is what Prompto started off with too. So basically my first step was to do a super rough sketch. So yeah, as you can see, these lines are super rough. And then what I basically did was I took like a painterly brush, and then I set the opacity of it like right up here to like 50% or something, so that, and then let's see, just click on this button to make it black. And then all I did was I used the pen pressure, and then I just like colored over it on places where they are wearing like dark color things, or like where I'm thinking the shade should be. And depending on how lightly or hard I press, it created these nice like values in between, so that it's like different values of gray. So yeah, and I just did like a really, really rough outline of where I think the shadows and everything would be. And I think the second thing I did was I went over everything and then I cleaned up the lines. So as you can see here, the like squiggly stuff is gone. We don't want that. So with Prompto I kind of cheated because like his like proportions was so out of place. I actually just like turned off like this layer, which is like the gray color, and I just like went over his lines until I felt like it looked better. But I'll show you how I was doing it with the other ones. A lot of you ask me like, oh, what kind of brushes do you use and whatever, and the reason why I never put up my brushes up until, well, I mean, I'm technically still not putting up my brushes now, but like the reason why I don't really talk about it is because I haven't really gotten around to making like custom brushes, and I've had these around for so long that I'm not even sure like where it originally came from. So I'm not really like too comfortable like sharing other people's brushes and like calling it my own. So until I like start making my own brushes, I probably won't be releasing any. So anyways, in this case, what I'm using is a normal hard brush on Photoshop. There are 3 things I always turn on for most of my brushes, whether they're mine or someone else's. And one is shape dynamic, one is transfer, and one is smoothing. You can like play with them to see what they do. Shape dynamic is very important that you make sure that the size jitter or whatever is controlled with pen pressure. So then depending on how hard you press, it changes like this shape. And as always, I always turn on this, which is pen pressure, and then this was just like opacity. And in this case, because we're trying to fix up the edges, I would put the opacity to like 100. So one of the first things, actually I lied, we shouldn't be going over the lines right now. One of the first things I suggest you to do after like this like shitty sketch point is, let me just close these. I would suggest you to make sure that the line art itself is as clean as, or not like as clean as it can be, but like kind of cleaned up, so that it's not like, you know, like this. Yeah, so I suggest you to clean up the line art a bit, and then I suggest you to clean up the shading a bit. So I'm just gonna fast forward this part so you guys can see. All I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna take these colors and just smooth it out a bit.
Now, some of you might be like, oh, why are you spending so much time and effort perfecting this? Well, that's because after this stage, what you want to do is you want to merge the line art and the gray coloring layer together. That way you can edit both at the same time, and this is also one of the things I found that lineless art is amazing for. It's just so easy to modify things when you've got less layers. Okay, so let's do it. Let's merge these. I know it can be super scary for a lot of you out there. Trust me, the first time I did it, I had like an existential crisis. But to ease the pain, what you can do is first duplicate this entire folder with your sketch grayscale and just merge that instead. So here, we've still got original, just in case, you know, we screw up and, you know, it's there for you, tucked away somewhere within all of the layers. And now you have a grayscale and one layer that you can just go over and perfect the shading before we add on the colors. Okay, now, real talk. I think the trick to doing lineless art is your almighty magical friend, the color picker. That was basically all that I was doing in the little time lapse back there. You really need to get used to color picking the shade in your surrounding area and using that to go over what you already drew. I know there's a lot of you out there who's used to like the basic technique of putting a base color down and then making another layer on top of it, turning it to multiply and then shading it over it like this, which is totally fine and it's like a valid method. But if you do want to learn this color picking technique, my suggestion for you would be to start practicing. You can still do your thing, have your multiply layer, but after you're done shading it, after you're happy with it, I know this is hard for some of you perfectionists out there, but merge the multiply layer with the base color. And then from there, try using the color picking technique to like refine the edges of your shades, or I don't know, like extend it. and just play around with it. It's really quite fun once you get used to it. Okay, before I forget, let's venture into the pit of old cringy art and show you one of my earliest attempts at doing lineless art. I think one of the biggest mistakes I personally made when trying to switch into doing lineless is not having lines. I know that sounds super counterintuitive, but hear me out. The lines I'm referring to here is more of just establishing clear boundaries in your art, not exactly the traditional black and white outlines. Because as you can see in this piece, what I did was that I tried to avoid lines as much as I could, and by doing so created this really unpleasant over blending that you see, and you get like this weird edge between the borders of colors and everything kind of, yeah. So yeah, don't do that. Honestly, I think it's quite important to actually be comfortable enough with line art itself first before moving on to lineless art. But yeah, let's see. Another tip that I found I think I can share with you guys is it's okay to make some parts look sloppy. I know personally when I do line art, it forces me to become more of like a perfectionist than I already am, because the lines are just so crisp and clean, and it makes you want to make sure that every single part of like the coloring is the same way too. But in reality, this is a horrible thing to do, because if you make every single part of the piece equally pristine and proper, it's very hard to have a focal point. Of course, focal points can be established through like lighting and composition, a bunch of other things, but in general, as you can see what I did here with Gladiolus, his abs/shirt area is super rough and blurry and unfinished, but it's okay, because in the end, especially for pinups like this, what you want the viewer's eyes to go to is the face. Yes, Gladiolus has amazing abs, but that's not really where I want you to focus on for this. And you can tell too, if I showed you the difference between here when it was still in grayscale to in the end, the finished piece, where is your eyes looking? And hopefully you're saying to his face for the final piece. And at this point, you're probably like, okay, I get it, but when are we gonna turn this grayscale into color? And that's probably like a tutorial that I can do another day, or you can look for tutorial. There's so many of them out there. But really, okay, all you have to do after this is you just have to turn your sketch layer into multiply, and then beneath it you can add like colors and base colors and set it to whatever effect layer you want to. The wonderful thing that I found with doing grayscale is that after you're done. Like, you don't have to worry about shading anymore, you don't have to worry about values anymore. You can just purely play with the colors and find what you like. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I personally just got really excited because I've always wanted to do lineless art, and I finally kind of figured it out. So I was like, oh my god, I have to share with my viewers ASAP. You might not even be interested in doing lineless art, which is like totally fine. Not even sure why you're on this video, but like, you know, it never hurts to know more. But honestly, I would actually suggest each and every one of you watching this video right now to give lineless art a try. I personally feel like I learned so much just from doing like the two pieces I showed you, because it just, when you don't have to worry so much about making everything perfect and fit within the lines, for me it taught me so much more about shading and proportions and just everything in general. So yeah, definitely give it a try if you can. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm actually a little sick right now too, so I hope that like hasn't really affected your viewing experiences. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I've decided to officially migrate away from Tumblr and Facebook because I am bored of those two. And so yeah, I'll be linking to those in the description. So if you guys are already part of the fam, then make sure you give this video a thumbs up and tell me in the comments how you think about like these kind of off the script videos, or if you're just like, no, that was horrible, just go back to writing your 3-hour scripts. If you aren't part of the fam, make sure you subscribe, because I will be posting a lot more tutorials from now on, I promise, right after I'm over this code. So until then, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.